O'Kane.
Here.
Shaner.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Waters.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Please stand for a moment of silent prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Interviews for boards and commissions, Art Center Board of Trustees, Jamie Bell. Jamie, come on up and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want to continue to serve.
Good afternoon, Jamie Bell. I'm looking to continue serving on the Board of Trustees for the Art Center because I believe deeply in the power of art to connect, educate, and invigorate our community. Serving a second term would continue to help the Art Center grow its influence and creativity, education, community engagement in Siouxland. My experience teaching and implementing marketing strategies, print and digital, will help me enhance and support the director's efforts in enhancing the Art Center's online presence, increasing attendance, and engaging broader demographics.
Wow, that's
We
impressive.
thank Todd.
I like that.
Yeah,
Way to go.
Questions?
appreciate all your
Aren't any
efforts very
questions.
much.
How much do you enjoy what you do? That's a good question.
I've been in marketing, graphic design, that world, media for the last 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And I've recently moved to teaching. I teach at Western Iowa Tech now. So I'm teaching that next generation to respect the past and embrace the new.
Yes, that's what's so important to me especially is, you know, when people talk about history and anything to do with the past, I'm like, I love it, but I love the new.
Yeah.
So I don't want to ever forget tradition, but I have to have an open mind and open, you know, even your heart. You can love something, but you can love something new. So I really
Absolutely.
appreciate that.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
Todd Evans, Building and Housing Code Board. Tell us a little bit about why you want to serve.
That's a tough act to follow there.
Yeah, did you
I don't
write
know-
a speech?
I don't have
Come
no
on, buddy.
paper or nothing, so. My name's Todd Evans. I've lived here in Sioux City for my whole life. I'm 56 years old. I have wife, 3 kids, 2 grandchildren, 2 grandsons, and 1 on the way. So I've been doing HVAC trade for almost 30 years now. I did have a short duty here with the city as a mechanical inspector for probably about 1.5 years. It just wasn't my cup of tea. I mean, I like to be involved in the other side of the game, so.
How long have you been with Interstate?
Interstate / Thompson, almost 30 years,
Have you?
yeah.
Great.
They do a good
Brent.
job, so appreciate your application.
Thanks,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for applying.
Okay, we'll go to the consent agenda, items 3 through 11E. That is the consent agenda for today. You can consider the items passed unanimously unless a separate roll call vote is requested by a council member. If you want to speak on an item, please come up as I read that. If you want to speak on an item not on the agenda, please come up under citizen concerns. Always remember to state your name for the record. I'll move the consent agenda.
Second?
3 is a reading of the November 24 City Council minutes. 4 is a resolution adopting plans and specs for the 8th Street reconstruction project. 5 is a resolution amending the authorized personnel complement in the position classification manual by adding library administrative assistant.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, I was going to go ahead.
request for that to be pulled for a vote and some discussion.
That's fine. I guess I want to ask a question. I don't know if the library is for this or opposed to it. You can answer that question, but I thought we were going to hold on the library discussion of personnel until the budget hearing but I guess we're moving forward, so go ahead.
Well, that was our plan. This is just kind of a fallback in case that doesn't go, because Angie's retiring in December, so we're going to be almost 3 months without somebody, well, 2 months without somebody. So then, if that doesn't go through, then we have this approved, and we can move forward with the assistant job. Yep.
So my concern, when Helen provided us with some information about where we stand in terms of our staffing for libraries, we're ninth in Iowa before this change, before these positions that we're essentially losing. We're ninth in the state for the number of full-time. So the ninth largest city in Iowa is Ames, and before this change, Ames employs 38.5 full-time employees for their one brick-and-mortar library. Before this change, we have 32 full-time employees for our 3 libraries. I'm concerned that if we continue to pare away at staff, that we're not going to have anybody to support the infrastructure that we have in place. We're not going to have people to staff these libraries. And these positions that we're losing, and we know that there's probably going to be one more unless it's been publicly announced, we're losing a lot of tenure, and that is very, very hard to replace. So that is one of the reasons why, I support this if they're going to see some short-term benefit from it, but I would just caution the future council that has to make that decision against continuing to pare away at a staff that's already pretty bare bones.
Call for the vote.
Shaner,
Aye.
Scott. Waters,
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
6 is a resolution authorizing payment to T.R. Harris Construction for the Les Hills Scenic Trail Project. 7 are actions relating to boards and commissions and committees. A is a motion appointing Mike Cougars to the Effective Fiscal and Public Policy Committee. B is a motion appointing Teresa Weaver to the Jillian Kosovo Sister City Committee. 7C through 7F are motions approving annual reports for the Jillian Kosovo Sister City Committee, the Airport Board of Trustees, the Events and Tourism Advisory Board, and the Parking and Skywalk System Board of Trustees. 8 are actions relating to agreements and contracts. A is a resolution approving a post-construction stormwater management plan, maintenance agreement and easement with DC Realty for the detention basin and easement at 3240 31st Street. B is a resolution approving an amendment to the consulting services agreement with DGR Engineering for the South Mulberry Street Improvement Project. C is a resolution granting a permit to Imon Communications to maintain underground fiber adjacent to 3601 Country Club Boulevard.
Mayor, I need to abstain on that item, conflict of interest.
D is a resolution granting a permit to Imon Communications to maintain underground fiber adjacent to 4201 Stone Avenue and 4212 Gordon Drive. 9 is purchasing. A is a resolution authorizing the purchase of Cone Park General Liability Insurance from Arthur J. Gallagher Risk Management Services. B is a resolution authorizing the purchase of ambulance property and liability insurance from Mills Shellhammer Pitts and Associates. 10 are applications for alcohol licenses. 11 are boards, commission, and committee members. Anyone to be heard on any of those items? We'll vote electronically. Passes 5-0. 12 is a hearing and resolution approving a dark fiber master lease agreement with Imon Communications to maintain fiber optic cables in exchange for the city's use of fiber. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 13 is a hearing and resolution adopting the amended and restated urban revitalization area plan. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard?
I don't know what you're going to say on the next one, but I'll come up here for this one. My name's Jim Jung.
Could you move that mic a little bit? Thank you.
My name's Jim Jung, J-U-N-G. I'm chair of the Property Review Board for Sioux City. I'm not in that role, but I've learned a lot in 6 years that I've been on that. And when I came to Sioux City, I used this process. I turned my receipts in. It was Abby Gaffey at that point. I got forgiveness for 10 years on property taxes, okay?
Was that on improvements that you made,
I
not
made
on a new
improvements.
build?
You took the receipts down, you got
Right.
blessed, and you got it.
Okay.
So it's a good program. I'm not saying it isn't. The original purpose, and this changed at one council, they changed the direction of it. It was for the inner city. And then it turned into this whole citywide thing. Now it's turned into something that we've got a millionaires, $1.5 million gets forgiven and $700,000 gets forgiven. I've had trouble with that, and somebody even came in front of our board. They were getting $300,000 forgiveness, but they still complained, and I really had trouble with that. And I understand why it's here. It's just like the TIFs are for economic development. This is kind of that thing for houses. By the way, there's 28,000 houses, if you wonder how many there's. I remember numbers. I think, number one, that it shouldn't be for multiple family units. They get rent. It's kind of double dipping. And I think you should think about capping it, and I'll just suggest $300,000. So I don't know what you were going to have at this meeting, but those are my suggestions personally. It's not the board. We didn't talk about it or vote on it, okay? Any
Would that
questions?
be under 13 or 14?
The first one under 13 is the amendment to the actual plan itself in the urban revite plan. And if that is approved, then the council would proceed forward to the changes to the ordinance.
You're speaking 13 and 14, like in general?
Yeah. So I'm hoping you all were going to discuss something about capping it or weighing it somehow. And indeed, if you look at the inner city, it's low on the totem pole of getting the monies. Of course, it's out toward development. But I think $1.5 million forgiveness for a millionaire and $700,000 is too much. It's gone wacky. And then when you have it for multiple family units, that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Chris, could you speak a little bit on your experience with this? Maybe what advice or you've seen over the years that you would have?
Chris Madgen, Planning Division Manager. We have really seen throughout the city, the more suburban and the more interior development, urban areas of town, that this is being utilized. So it is helping both new development and revitalization, rehab of the existing housing. The program isn't nearly as effective as it used to be because the school district taxes have been removed, so that's about 40% of the effectiveness of this tool. So a lot of new development, you're probably going to be seeing other methods be used, whether that's TIF or other different types of incentives. But we do feel that this is still a good tool to be utilized citywide. And at this point, we're not asking for any changes to the different types of plans, the schedules, just asking for a 5-year extension.
And I guess to directly address what Mr. Jung is proposing, I mean, what are your thoughts on the cap of that or any other modifications?
It is something that we looked at. It's not something that, as staff, we wanted to propose. We wanted to keep it the same as the plan currently is. But it is something that, if that's council direction, we can look at, because this does expire December 31st, but we would be able to come back with another amendment to break out different parts of towns if that is what council wants to give us that direction.
Jim, you got to come to the mic, though.
The hearing and resolution, the first item, 13, would just be one vote to amend the plan. And if it is amended, then the ordinance could be up to 3 readings unless the council waived it and
Yeah.
did it in one step.
But I just think there needs to be some thought on it. Things have changed,
Right.
so I really push that.
Chris, we don't have the numbers of what that impact
Yes,
would
we
be
do.
with the $300,000 cap on multifamily residential units.
At a staff level, I do not. I don't know if
We do have.
it's something that we could get.
We do have some numbers to use as examples.
Who
Dan?
does?
Tyler Erickson, I asked him to pull some numbers and
Okay.
show up today just to give us some
but
simple
overall-
examples of how this is affecting us, good, bad, overall.
Tyler Erickson, Sioux City Assessor's Office. I don't have a number per se if it was to be capped at 300,000.
No.
What I can say is, you know, it does benefit everybody when new houses. Because it's only 80% exempt, you're still adding taxable value to the, you know, to the roll, and you're claiming that. So that is getting broken out. It is a good program in that sense. I do not have, though, if you were to remove, you know, multi-res properties are big projects, so there's a lot of dollars that are being exempt from those. Something I could look into and see what currently is out there. I believe right now there's about 6 or 7 properties that have, for multi-res, have urban revites on them, but there are quite a few over $300,000. It's pretty hard to build a house in a lot of neighborhoods right now for under 300,000. I know some of the programs for lower income housing, they're 250, 280, up to 300. So that's really your bare minimum right now. But what I was asked to kind of present is if, you know, the city needs a certain amount of money to run, that's where the property tax dollars are going. Somebody decides to build a house, that's not going to affect that city number that they need. But what it is going to do is add tax dollars to the roll. So it's going to lessen each person's burden. So if you had, you know, a housing development of 20 houses and each one was 500,000, the first year they're going to get $400,000 abatement, but they're all going to pay taxes on 100,000. Well, over 20 houses, that's $2 million that you're adding to the tax base. So it's not free. It is an incentive to build in the city, but it is definitely not free. By year 9 and 10, each house is going to be paying $400,000 plus whatever the market growth is in that time. So they are going to pay close $8 million in valuation for taxation. So it is a good incentive program, like I said. I just don't have the numbers based off the 300 cap.
Right.
You think, Tyler, that the incentive would be there for multi-family residential if it didn't have a cap, or is it, or did they,
I
is it
don't know.
looked at it
I'm
that
not
closely?
I don't really have the answer if it would still be, what percentage they take that into consideration. In my professional role, I'm not going to answer on my personal opinion there. Professional role, if it gets you to build more apartments, that's great. It's going to add to the tax dollars. How long are you going to wait to gain that money back? I don't know. That's.
And Chris, this is probably a question for you. Just remind me, and I apologize, this is for new build as well as renovation, right? I mean, obviously, just renovating, working on properties, because I guess, Jim, to the 2 points that you raise, and Tyler, I appreciate your figures and you being here to share that. I remember back to a couple of meetings ago when Mr. Koskovich was preaching to me about ROI. And I mean, I think that that's your point, is you're attempting to incentivize, and even if you're not capturing some or all of the tax revenue, at least you're capturing some in those initial years. And I understand that point. I do understand where you're coming from, that you're not necessarily just wanting to incentivize, you know, large scale homes or people of wealth or ability to have those homes. But at the end of the day, we are lucky to have some of those developments and want to keep them here in our community as well, and not have them just go across the river, which I think that we should be incentivizing. The other thing that I would say, I guess, addressing your point with multifamily, Jim, is, you know, I think back to when my mom was actually down here during COVID, and she worked on the census, was going around to all of these different properties and talking with homeowners or renters, and she was pretty taken aback by the conditions of some of these properties. And it's really troubling, you know, the living circumstances that some people have. And I think that oftentimes that was at least in her experience, people that are renting in those multifamily units or those homes that were broken up into rentals. And so from my perspective, any incentive that we can give those individuals to fix up or to invest in their property and make it better, make it more inhabitable, I think is a good thing to incentivize as best we can. I do understand what you're saying, though, from an apartment standpoint or some of the other areas, but I think sometimes it's used for good as well. So I guess that's just my response directly to your thoughts.
I'm not saying that it's not good, okay? I just think it's gotten out of control. $700,000 and 1.5 million, I mean, geez, you know. That's just where I'm coming from. It's a great program. I mean, I used it. I wish more people in the inner city needs some help.
I just wanted to add, the program's been around a long time. It's been made a lot of benefits to Sioux City for a really long time. But I think I would be reluctant to move away from it completely. Obviously, the change in the school levy, part of it is a big difference. And the other thing I wanted to add is I think you all know we're looking at major housing projects with using TIF in the future, which a lot of communities are moving to in Iowa, and in those cases, it won't apply. So it can't apply.
You got to say your name too, Marty.
Thanks.
Marty,
Chris?
you got to say your name that you were.
Oh, I'm sorry. Martin Doherty, Economic and Community Development Director.
I got you, Heidi.
Regarding agenda item 13, I would want to extend it 5 years to 2030. And that's the main part of the amendment, correct?
Correct. No other major changes
In
other
item
than the
13,
legal description
To
for the
extend
city
it
of.
5 years.
Correct. And removing the school district portion, because that changed effective July 1 of '24, cleaning up that language, bringing in the newly annexed territory into the city, just making some housekeeping changes in addition to the extension of 5 years.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, thank you all.
Passes 5-0. 14 is an ordinance designating the urban revive area as amended by the amended and restated Sioux City Urban Renewal Area Plan. I'll move first reading.
Second.
Passes 5-0. I'd like to not do the other readings. We'll still get it done by December 31st. That gives people an opportunity to talk. 15 is an hearing and resolution consenting to the transfer of property in the Donner Park Urban Renewal Area to Rick Scott, Jennifer Lowell, Shane Scott, and authorizing a quick claim deed for property at 1153 235th Street. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0.
Did item 14, the first reading, was that a 5-0 vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
16 is a resolution approving and accepting a quitclaim deed from Rick Scott, Jennifer Lowell, and Shane Scott, consideration mutual benefits, property 1151 235th Street, 1157 235th Street, 2298 Allison Avenue, and 2298 and a half Allison Avenue. I'll move that.
Second.
Passes 5-0. 17 is a resolution approving a contribution to the Suland Initiative for fiscal year 2026, deferred from November 17th and 24th, 2025. I'll move that.
Second.
Anyone to be heard?
I'll speak. I had a good meeting with Kevin McNamee, who was willing to meet with me the day before Thanksgiving. It was a very busy week for me, so I was really appreciative that he was able to shuffle some things around and meet with me. And we had a really good talk about some of the initiatives that TSI has taken on to help grow Sioux City. And a couple of the things that we discussed was really where they step in. And we talked about kind of our contribution as a piece of their whole operating budget. And it is a very small contribution that we make. And I'm not discrediting the amount of money that we give them. But one thing that I will say is the laundry list of things that Councilman Moore read off last week were all initiatives that Sioux City benefits from, whether it be tax base, whether it be jobs, whether it be development that we otherwise would not have. And currently, TSI is doing a lot of the economic development for Sioux City when it comes to a lot of these items. And I don't want to discount our economic development team because they work tirelessly, not just to market Sioux City, but to really help find good fits and keep everybody at the table. And our economic development team does a great job with that. But the fact of the matter is, if I look at the size of Sioux City, and I look at the size of our economic development team, and I know Marty wouldn't say this, but I don't feel like we have enough people. We don't have enough staff in economic development. And we couldn't buy the impact that we get from TSI with 60,000. We couldn't afford half another person on the staff for that. I was appreciative that he was able to go over a lot of the same information that he went over with Mr. Moore with. And I was appreciative that he acknowledged that having a good working relationship with the city is paramount in the future of their organization. Because I think that truly is needed. They need to be at the table, and I think that the bang that we get for this buck cannot be matched until we can afford to add some serious staff to economic development. And the growth that we've seen in Sioux City and the sustainability that we've seen coming from initiatives that TSI has taken on just can't be matched right now. So that's all I have to say.
Well, I guess what I would say, Matthew, is I'm glad that you were able to have a meeting and talk through some of those things. I wasn't available early on. I would have probably met on Wednesday. I didn't hear from anyone from TSI or the chamber or anyone if there was an opportunity for a meeting. I thought asking for it in a council meeting would warrant, asking for it in general, for someone to be able to reach out and share that information. I know I spoke with Dan a little bit about setting up a meeting, and it didn't seem like there was any interest to have that set up because of their frustration with some of the things that were said at the last meeting. And so I guess my worry, my concern is that in a lot of ways, we're setting a precedent that if you're an organization and we believe you provide value, you don't have to be transparent with us to talk about where these dollars are going or what they're going towards. And at the very least, you don't even need to come before the council to ask for those dollars. And that's probably what worries me the most. Is I find it very troubling that you have an organization that is a very valued partner to the city in this community, and you have full-time staff that report to them. You have a full board of directors, and the director or the chair of this organization is willing to meet behind closed doors with 2 of the 5 council members, but not have himself or any staff member show up before the city council to discuss the partnership, their value, or what these dollars are going towards. And I find that troubling, and I think the optics of it, I think the way that that puts us in a position as a city to warrant that and allow that is troubling. And I do think that there is an extensive list of good that the partnership between TSI and the city has produced. I think that, are there ways that we could work better together and collaborate more about who is working on what and how we can be most effective? Yes. But I do think that there has been a long list of successes, of examples that you can point to say, yes, we were able to accomplish this and it wouldn't have been possible without that partnership. But the worry that I have is when you give an organization a pass and say, because to my knowledge, there were 3 council members at least that said we would like to see a budget. We would like to see a budget of, okay, the money coming in, what is it being spent on, and how could we, better support the organization? Is it personnel? Is it, are they attending fair, like trade shows or any other opportunities to solicit businesses? And even with 3 council members asking for that, no one was able to produce any documentation or willing to produce documentation. That lack of transparency, I find deeply troubling. And to me, it raises more questions and more suspicions, which is truly unfortunate because I don't think that's the intention. I don't think that any of these, the directors on TSI, the board, or the chamber board, like the mayor had said in the last meeting, I think they're good people. They're people that I respect a great deal. But I feel that that respect should be mutual. And if we are going to want to collaborate and be partners, we should both want to work with each other and have open dialogue. And if there are questions being asked or clarification needed, I don't understand why that wouldn't be provided. And furthermore, then, like I brought up in the last meeting and like Mr. Burrows had brought up, if we aren't able or allowed to even see a budget, and the only budget we do see is the executive salaries, where the president of the organization, Chris McGowan, is making more than any employee at City Hall, that's troubling. And so I don't understand why we couldn't at least get some of those answers or clarification. I'm not opposed to supporting them. I want to support them. But morally, I feel like this is setting a precedent that we can't walk back. And I know that there are other organizations that come before this council to give us regular updates regarding the work that they're doing. We ask for their budgets and they produce them. We look them over to make sure that they are being good stewards of taxpayer dollars, or actually not even taxpayer dollars. In some cases, it's hotel motel tax. In some cases, it's SMID money. That's not even directly from us. And I don't know why we would ask that of those organizations if we're not going to hold other organizations accountable and just say, well, you have done good work, so never mind, we think it's worth it and we won't require that of you. I think that that's not how I would want to run a business. I think if any of those investors or businesses on the TSI board were being asked to invest in a company or invest in an organization that was going to benefit their business, they would want to make sure that that business, that entity, was being good stewards of their dollars. I don't think that's unfair. I don't think I'm being unclear or outrageous. If anything, I would have loved a simple conversation to discuss Where are those dollars being utilized? I thought previously they had went towards Mr. Newton's position. Then that was eliminated, but the amount we were still giving was the same. I don't know if it's a lack of respect for me as a council member. Maybe it's because I'm a lame duck and hey, I'm on my way out. At least you can work with the next council, that's fine. But I don't think the concerns that I'm raising are unwarranted or unjust or out of bounds of what should be asked and should be expected of an organization. I forget if I read it in Dolly's article in the recap or where I saw that, but you know, it was said that other city and other agencies and organizations donate to this, you know, other cities and municipalities. And I believe what I read was, and if I'm wrong, I will be the first to admit I'm wrong and correct it in the next meeting, was that the Woodbury County Board of Supervisors was asked to fund a portion of this budget and they denied that request. And there's just a lack of transparency that I find deeply troubling. And so while I want to continue this relationship, I want to continue this partnership because I think it's vital to the future of economic development in this community, this doesn't feel like a partnership when you have a council member asking simple questions and you can't even have a representative of the organization look the members of the council in the eyes and expect their support. I can't do that. So that's where I'm at. I appreciate that you had that opportunity.
Well, I just will throw it out here. Mr. Burrows thinks I have a conflict of interest. I'm not on the TSI board. Obviously, if citizens believe a council member has a conflict of interest, there are remedies for that, and we might find out if I do have a conflict of interest. I've asked the city attorney if she thinks I have that. I've got to rely upon her opinion, and she doesn't feel I do because they're separate and distinct boards. Second of all, I personally write checks to the Suland Initiative. I don't think that disqualifies me, so I'm going to vote today.
I'm abstaining again.
We still got to push the button.
For clarification, Councilwoman Shaner, for a conflict of interest? Okay, thank you.
It passes 3-1-1. Citizen concerns. Are there any citizens to be heard? Seeing none, we'll go to Matthew.
Nothing for this week.
Julie.
I really don't have much. We had a great lighted parade. I was on the sidelines. The mayor was in the trolley. It was.
That was Matthew.
Oh, and Matthew was in the trolley. It was, I believe, a record 76 entries, so it was great. The kids had a great time. I mean, there were just, I can't even imagine how many people were there. It had to be several thousand. It was unbelievable is right. So great community event. I thank Downtown Partners and IBEW, I can never say that, for sponsoring it, all the sponsors, all the entrants. It was great. I was lucky enough to be one of the judges, so that's great too. I want to thank staff for their good job on snow removal and preparation of the snow coming. It was very well done. I have people that I know living in different parts of the city, and they said, great job. And number 3, about the urban revitalization renewal, it gave me an idea while we were sitting here about possibly sending a blanketed letter out to existing homeowners, landlords, to remind them that if they do the correct percentage of improvements to their property, that they too qualify for abatement of that improvement. So I think we'd like to get a letter together and get that sent out just to remind people, and maybe we can get a few things cleaned up and some of these rentals in a little bit better condition. That's all I have.
Alex.
Yeah, just a couple things. First and foremost, I would echo Julie's comments about snow removal and thanking Patrick and his staff. I think that they work incredible hours during these difficult times and put themselves in harm's way, similar to our emergency response personnel. So I want to publicly acknowledge them and thank them for their dedication to trying to keep our citizens safe. I will say that I understand some of the frustration of when you're tired from scooping your driveway, your sidewalk, what have you, and a plow might go by and trying to clear the street and some is kicked off into the driveway or into the sidewalk. I understand. You know, these things happen and our crews do the best they can to avoid those situations. It's not intentional. We've looked into additional attachments, everything, to be able to try to alleviate some of those things. In most cases, they're cost prohibitive, or even the ability to get and run those things is pretty challenging. And so, but I think that our staff is always looking for the best ways and best practices to be able to alleviate some of those concerns and frustrations. But at the end of the day, they're trying to get to as many streets as they can in a timely fashion to be able to allow people to travel safely on the roadways. And I appreciate that dedication and willingness to continue to try to improve. Secondly, I just wanted to say NAIA kicks off. We got the volleyball tournament coming up this week, and so that's pretty exciting. And being able to host this event is definitely something that's not lost on me. I think it's a pretty amazing honor to be able to continue to host this tournament and welcome all these people to our community. I know some of them come from a long ways away where they have not seen snow maybe in their lifetime or maybe only during this time. And so I think it's pretty fun to see their amazement with not only that, but also playing on this stage. I would wish all the teams the best of luck. And just encourage any community members, anyone listening to this broadcast, to please get out and support those athletes. They've worked their entire high school and in through that and through their collegiate career to get where they are today, to be here at the national tournament. So getting out and supporting them, cheering them on, or just watching some great volleyball action is always a good time. So check out the schedule online. There are many places where it's posted. And if you have any restaurants, make sure to advertise to them as well and let them know why they should be maybe supporting your restaurant or coffee shop or what have you, or shopping while they're in Sioux City. So that's all I have, sir.
Okay, a couple of things. I concur in the Patrick and the team for doing the snow removal. Great job. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The first one's always a rough one, and it went smoothly, and I really appreciate that. I also, on the NAIA, I want to thank the media, the news media, the TV stations, radio, and the Sioux City Journal for the great marketing they've done for us for that tournament coming up. And the articles and the reports have just been outstanding. So thank you for that. That's an excellent way that the mayor and the council can get the word out, and we appreciate your good work there as well. That's all I have, Mayor.
I already sent Patrick and Mike a note about what a great job they did. I only can imagine how much better it would have been if people would have adhered to the other side of parking over the weekend, and we have to do a better job of that. This was a major snowstorm for Sioux City. We haven't had one like this in a while, so we do need to make a better effort to make sure that people understand. You did a great job under the circumstances, so appreciate that. The only thing I would say about that parade, it was a great parade, but as a grandpa, riding that bus, looking down, and kids only from here to 3 feet away at the very most, that was a very scary evening. I don't know why we don't put them back on the sidewalk, Mike. That's.
Well, a couple of years when I owned Soho, somebody laid down a chalk line.
Well,
It was as wide as a stripe.
well,
And
that's
I don't know
fine,
who
but we've
did it,
got to
but-
do something different.
Right, that they
Those
have to
kids
stay
were
behind the chalk.
way too close to
Yeah,
those
they were
floats.
very, the
Matthew
whole
will,
crowd was out in the
yeah,
street.
Matthew will confirm that. It was scary.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Yep.
so,
Yeah.
I don't know who would have laid down the chalk line.
city did.
Yeah,
Sometimes
city.
tape line too, they'll put down even, but.
It was just a chalk line. for a
Anyway,
couple
just
of
something, that I don't want anybody to ever get hurt in
No,
a
it's not
parade,
worth
and
it.
it was scary, especially little guys. I mean, their parents are watching them, but they dart, and so.
And oftentimes you'll have volunteers actually go along the parade.
Yeah, but boy, they were so tight, man, you couldn't believe it.
Oh, I know, and I'm sorry I had to work that night, but I love parades, and I'm sorry I had to miss that one. It's a great one, and the electrical union people that just put that on, and
Yeah.
it's just amazing.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Yeah, that was a scary deal.
Is my